Diddy trial. We have an update, details revealing a lot during the first day. Here it is.
The video, captured on multiple cameras, shows Combs assaulting his then-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, in a hallway at a Los Angeles hotel in March 2016. A lawsuit filed by Ventura in November last year and settled the next day referenced actions that seem to match those seen in this video.
You understand the prosecutorial strategy typically by day one, sometimes day two. So they're focusing on the two primary victims, and this is one of them. So the first day of evidence in the Sean Diddy Combs sex trafficking trial has come to an end in compliance with the federal rules of justice. There are no cameras inside of the courtroom. Prosecutors focus on the two central victims in the case, Mr. Combs' former girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, and another unnamed former girlfriend. And you wonder why she's unnamed, because the allegation is that of a sexual assault nature. It's a permission allowed up until a certain point in court. An LAPD cop gave shocking new evidence about the hotel viral video that we have all seen. P. Diddy said he didn't do it. He denied it initially until the tape came out. And then he said he just had some problems back then. LAPD officer Israel Flores was called by the prosecution Monday as their first witness in the federal sex crime against Sean Diddy Combs. He said was working at the Intercontinental Hotel in Century back in 2016 as the assistant director of security. So Flores stated that on March 5th, 2016, he got a call about, quote, a woman in distress, end quote. This was on the 6th floor. He said he encountered Combs when he stepped out of the elevator, per CNN. Combs was only wearing a towel and socks and appeared to be, quote, acting strangely, he said via the Washington Post. Flores also noted pieces of a broken vase on the floor. Quote, he was on the chair, slouched down, and he was like in a blank stare. The best way I could describe it was just like a devilish stare, said Flores, adding that Ventura was cowering in the corner, covering her face. He later recalled her having a, quote, purple eye. Flores said Ventura told him she wanted to get her bag and leave. Combs then told her she was not going to leave. The cop said this via CNN. Flores said he told Combs if she wanted to leave, she could leave, and told the two to take their argument back to their room, per the Washington Post. When he walked them back, Flores said he noticed another man inside the room. However, he didn't appear to be engaged in the chaos. Combs then approached the officer with a wide wad of cash and said, quote, don't tell anybody, said Flores. Per the New York Times, the officer declined the money, told Combs he'd be charged for any property damage. Well, damn, Officer Flores, Miss Ventura was damaged as well by your own account. I get that this guy's being honest on the stand, and I'm glad he is. If he doesn't, he's going to be charged with another crime anyway. But you have to think about the cause and effect and think about the emphasis we put on celebrities as if somehow they are special, they're superior. They're not. They're like me and you. They're everyday people. And then you have a victim who's obviously a victim. There's no ambiguity that she's a victim. This man says, go back to the room with the person who has victimized you. Take it back to the room. What kind of assistant director of security and cop would say that? So Flores said he later saw Miss Ventura and asked if she wanted him to call the police. Because that means that Flores did not. One of Combs' employees tried to halt the interaction until eventually Ms. Ventura said that she just wanted to leave and departed in a black SUV. Prosecutors claimed in the open arguments that Combs used, quote, an inner circle to help him commit crimes. Combs allegedly got heated and grabbed the manager's phone, believing he was being recorded. Flores said he then interjected, pinning Combs to the wall per the Times. Following this, he filed an incident report. The police were not called following the incident because Ms. Ventura refused to answer his questions and no one pressed any charges, the officer said. New footage was also shown the jury by way of a phone recorded video taken by Flores himself, who said he wanted to show his wife what happened. Once again, the safety and concern not present for Ms. Ventura. When he had a physical altercation with Mr. Combs, all of a sudden there's a report of the incident. However, no one reported the incident of Ms. Ventura. Just want to note that for the record. An ex-dancer, the witness called to the trial, the ex-dancer, Daniel Phillip. Daniel Phillip told Combs, federal sex trafficking jury, that he would then go on to be paid to have sex with the R&B singer Cassie Ventura. Quote, he told me he was in importing and exporting. Phillip, the ex-dancer, said on the witness stand, giving the Combs jury his earliest firsthand account of what happened at a, quote, freak-off. The elaborate performances at the center of the accused sex trafficking case. Prosecutors say that over the course of 2 decades, Combs coerced 4 girlfriends into participating in these staged sex shows, which the indictment describes as commercial sex acts because of the involvement of male strippers or escorts. Combs has countered that the encounters were consensual. Quote, the government has no place in his private bedroom, defense attorney Tinai Garagos said in the opening statement on Monday morning. The trial is set to continue today. Obviously, more witnesses will be called. So once again, you have an understanding, at least in part, of the prosecution's strategy to prosecute Combs. I think the reason they're bringing the more egregious allegations first with the video evidence, et cetera, is to nullify the argument that this is something that just happens inside of the bedroom of one human being. That this is actually connected to a broader range of control, criminal at that, and coercion afterwards. The other charges that could have been affixed to other individuals, I'm sure they have some level of immunity. Naturally, you will hear from people who you will say, hey, they committed crimes too. Well, that's the reason they're on the stand, in order to not be charged with those crimes. All right, this case is going to get even more interesting and probably surprising. This is just day one. What say you?
Yeah, I think the prosecution probably did well for themselves by showing the video and establishing a pattern of abuse. I worry if they're leaning too much on the salacious nature of some of this stuff, some of the sex act stuff, and maybe don't really have the goods in terms of the more serious stuff that, quite frankly, I think is more important. This guy was beating the hell out of his woman. I wish we were just prosecuting him for that. And anybody else he was physically harmful to, because like this guy has a reputation for being violent. And it's obvious that he was violent towards Cassie throughout the duration of their relationship. And I guess the feds can't figure out how to prosecute him for that abuse. They're tying in this other stuff, the sex trafficking and coercion. Not to say that that didn't happen. I don't know. It seems like they will be concentrating on, like they had a part where a male escort urination was involved and all of that stuff. Like I worry if like they're leaning heavily on that type of thing because they can't pin him to the more serious stuff, which is, domestic abuse and sexual abuse and that kind of stuff.
You make a great point. And you're right, the federal government lacks some jurisdictional authority when it comes to how they can charge. For example, if you just commit a crime, that's a state crime. Feds can't get involved unless you cross the state lines and committed the ongoing crime in another state. Now the feds are able to get involved jurisdictionally. So I'm sure some of this was part of the calculation. We shall see what happens today.